Hello my lovelies, I hope you are well. Our lesson today is called the levels of cellular organization. So let's start. Our lesson. How are the living things organized? An organism is the living thing that can carry out the life process by itself. So the organism that carry out the life, any organism. So we have the unicellular organisms. The unicellular organisms, as we said in lesson 1, are made up of one cell that perform or function necessary for life. Unicellular organisms don't have the levels of organization. So the unicellular organism don't have the levels of organizations. So it can't do that. Okay. So as we know, the examples of the unicellular organisms that paramecium, amoeba, bacteria, yeast, and archaea. So the unicellular organisms are fewer resource and some can live in a harsh condition, such as the hot weather and the very salty wet. So they are very small and easily eaten by other organisms, as we see the bacteria, the yeast, all of that. So what is the advantage of being the organism unicellular? That the entire of the organism dies if the single cell die. They have single cell, so if it dies, the organism will die. So let's talk about the multicellular organism. Have more than one cell. They are grouped into different levels of organization. The cells that are made of multicellular organisms, such as the human, the plants, the animals, are specialized to perform a specific function. Okay, so they are specialized to perform a specific function. Many multicellular organisms can reproduce sexual reproduction, like we said, the multicellular organism, the human body. So the human body can make another organism by reproduction. So the multicellular multicellular organisms are larger, more efficient, and long life than the unicellular. So now we know the difference between the multicellular and unicellular. Yes, the unicellular live for a short time, contain one cell. If one cell die, they die. No, multicellular organism, the opposite. They can larger, more efficient, and long life. Now we know the advantage of the multicellular organisms, that they can live for a long time. Okay, so let's talk about the disadvantage of the multicellular organisms. Is that need more resources than the unicellular organism. The cells are specialized for a certain job, which means that the cell must depend on each other to perform on the function that our organism need to live. So in the multicellular organism, they consist of tissues. What is the tissues? Tissues is a group of similar cells that perform a common function. We have a group of cells, connected to each other to form a tissue. So what's the function of tissue? To perform the common function of all cells. So there are 4 basic tissues: nervous tissue, epithelial tissue, connective, and muscular tissues. So let's talk about the tissues of the human and animal, not the plant, for the human only and animal. The nervous tissue function that making what a message system within the body. The epithelial tissue, like protective tissue, such as the skin. The connective tissue, including the bones and the blood, hold the parts of the body together. So the nervous tissue, epithelial tissue, connective tissue. Let's talk about the 3 types of tissue about the plant. We know the animal or the human body tissues. Now we'll talk about the plant: transport, protective, and the ground tissue. The first one, transport. The transport tissue moves the water and nutrients through the plant. The protective tissue that protects the outside of the plant from its name, protective. The ground tissue that's the internal support. It's the internal support and the storage and absorbs the light energy. So we know the tissues. Now we will know the organ. Okay, the organ is a structure made up of collection of tissues. So we have the cell, the tissue, and then the organ. The organ is a group of tissues. Okay, like what? Like the stomach is an organ that break down the food for digestion. Different type of tissue work together this function. Like what? Like the nervous tissue send the messages to the stomach muscles to tell the muscle tissue to contract. Okay, this is an example. Now we will talk about the plants that have an organ, such as the leaf. The leaf of the plant is an organ that contains the protective tissue to reduce the water loss, the ground tissue for the photosynthesis and transport to move. So the organ, like the leaf, consists of two tissue, protective tissue and the ground tissue, two types of tissue. So the organ do what? As we said that the organ is a group of organs, sorry, it's a group of tissue, it's a mistake, that work together to perform the body function. Each organ in the body have a specific job to do for the organism. For example, the stomach works with other organs of the digestive system to digest and absorb nutrients, like what? Like the small intestine, the large intestine, the esophagus. So the stomach can't work alone, it's work with other organs. Now we finish the part 1 of lesson 4. If you need anything, please tell me. Thanks a lot.